Morning guys, and welcome back once again to I Like Watches Too, and welcome to another video where I show you some vintage watches that I plan to sell very soon. And you never know, when you're watching this video, they might be already up on my website ilikewatches.net or my eBay store. This one, however, I'm not planning to sell just yet because, well, actually I'm not going to tell you the reason. I explain it in a recent video. I've made a dedicated video on this watch. Incredible watch, this one. Probably one of the best vintage watches. Well, probably one of the best watches I have ever seen. I'll put a link to the video on this watch in the video description. But yeah, this is just a good opportunity for us to have a look at the sheer variety of vintage watches available. So yeah, I'm not just doing a little bit of work on these watches and selling them on to you guys. I'm using this as an opportunity to learn and also to just explore the vast array of vintage watches that were available in the 70s and 80s. Here's a couple of QTs. Now, QTs sat above QRs in the Seiko Quartz hierarchy. You had Superiors and Grand Quartz. But then the slightly more affordable watches, you had QTs, QRs, and QZs. QTs were the more premium watches out of those three, and they tended to come with more interesting dials. And this one, actually, the one on my right, is 14 karat gold. Well, not the whole case, but there is a layer of 14 karat gold on top of a stainless steel case, and you can see that if I just flip the watch over. There is yeah, a stainless steel case under a sort of surface of gold, and it's not gold plated, it's a fairly thick layer of 14 karat gold, which I've done a little bit of work on. I just polished it up a little bit. This top surface here is brushed, and the top of the bezel is brushed. It's in pretty good condition, this one, actually. In fact, I've been wearing it a little bit. I've never really been a fan of gold watches, but these vintage watches on brown straps I am loving at the moment. So yeah, I have been enjoying this one, I must admit. Here's the case back. Let me just show you the case back. This one was made in February 1974. You can see on the back there it says cap gold. Let me zoom in a little bit. The movement is the 3803 and the case is the 7031. Yeah, gorgeous watch. Can't see any issues with the dial, the hands, the indices, all the crystal on this one. And the case is actually in, yeah, pretty good condition. And here's another QT. This one isn't gold. It's not 14 karat gold or gold capped or anything like that. It's plating, I believe. But the dial on this one is really nice. There is a bit of texture to it. It's a sort of paper dial with Roman numerals. Again, in incredible condition, this one. Crystal looks fantastic. The dial looks perfect. I've been testing these watches as well for a number of days, and they're running fantastically well. Yeah, they work very nicely. This one has this plating on it, which I started to polish a little bit, but I wasn't happy with the finish. It was looking a little bit patchy, so I thought I'd have a bit of fun with this case. And I've brushed it, and I'm really pleased with how it's come out. It was surprisingly easy to get a really even satin brushing all over this sort of plated finish, and it looks really good. I'm really pleased with it, actually. It's quite unusual to see fully brushed vintage watches. So yeah, definitely an interesting one, isn't it? I don't suspect it will command the same sort of price as this 14 karat gold QT, but yeah, I like it still. Next up, I want to show you this Citizen Cosmotron. This is basically an electronic watch. This is Citizen's equivalent to the Seiko Elnix. So it has a balance spring, but it's powered not by a mainspring, but by a battery. And for a few years in the early 70s, electronic watches were essentially the future. That was what people were, or companies like this, we're investing in. And so yeah, there is a battery inside of this one, but no quartz crystal. It's got a cool function where you press this button and the second hand resets to 12 o'clock. Quite often with these watches, this function doesn't work. But this one's working really nicely, and that is to help you obviously adjust the accuracy of the watch. These watches weren't fantastically accurate, unfortunately, and yeah, that's why these sort of functions were introduced. But the other cool thing about these watches is you adjust the day and the date by pressing in the crown. Now, if the watch is in the upright position, it advances the date, and if you flip the watch over and press the crown, it advances the day. How cool is that? And again, this one's working really, really nicely. This watch is actually in really, really good condition. This is the bracelet that it came on. I believe it is the original bracelet. You can see it's signed there with the Cosmotron logo, and actually it's in nice condition. In fact, the whole watch is in nice condition. The crystal looks to be pretty much perfect. A little bit of sort of aging on the hands around the loom, which is fairly typical. But yeah, this is a 70s watch, early 70s. I don't know the date of this one, unfortunately, but yeah, it is in nice condition. Now, before I move on and show you a couple of automatic watches, I've got a couple of ladies' watches to show you. Why would I be buying ladies' watches? Well, the main reason is, and this was my thinking, I think sometimes we need a little bit of lubrication when it comes to smoothing things over with our partners because of our terrible watch buying habits. So I thought it would be a good idea to offer some ladies' vintage watches, thinking maybe you guys might be interested in, well, when you're picking up a watch for yourself from my eBay store or from my website, maybe you guys could smooth things over with your partners and buy them maybe one of these. A beautiful, look at this thing, absolutely gorgeous and in incredible condition. It is a quartz vintage. I think this might be an 80s quartz watch, but the condition is unbelievable. Original bracelet again, bracelet extension on it. You can remove that if you don't need it. But yeah, I just think these are really, really cool and cool case shapes. And yeah, this one's come up really, really nicely. I didn't really need to do too much to this one at all. Gorgeous dial as well. Except you've got my thumbprints all over the crystal. There we go, thumbprint free. And yeah, I just think these are really cool, actually, really cool. And here's the second ladies' watch I want to show you in this video. It's, yeah, a fairly delicate sort of dress watch. Really interesting finish on the bracelet and the case. Yeah, again, in fantastic condition. So these two watches will be available on eBay and on my website, just in case you guys need to, you know, smooth things over with your lady friends. Right, let me show you the first of two automatics that are ready to be purchased. This one is really cool. Loads of depth to this one. Lots of character to it. You've got this sort of elevated gold ring, and then the dial sits sort of partially obscured underneath that. The case, when it came, was fully polished. I've just gone over it and given it a bit of a re-polish. Let me just give it a clean, because obviously get my greasy mitts all over it. There we go. Yeah, I've had this on the time grapher and adjusted it. It's now running very, very nicely. It's just a cool, funky, vintage Seiko 5, isn't it? Yeah, I love this thing. Paid a bit of a premium to get this one in because I just thought it was so cool and so different compared to the sort of fairly standard cased Seiko 5 watches that you see all too often. So yeah, really cool, this one. And there's the case back for this particular watch. The movement is the 6319 and the case is the 7010. Right, here's the last watch I'm going to show you in today's video. It is a fairly sort of standard looking Seiko 5 with a silver sunburst dial. Again, this one came to me with a fully polished case, so I just went over it and gave it a bit of a repolish. Again, I've adjusted the accuracy of the movement on the time grapher, so it's running very, very nicely. Oh yeah, both of these automatics come with their original bracelets. And yeah, it's quite a cool watch, this one. Fairly simple. It looks like, well, a lot of Seiko 5 watches that you see these days. But again, it's got the sort of movements, the older movements where you need to adjust the days of the week by pushing in the crown. And yeah, you would adjust the date by, well, let me just move the hour hand to a safe place. There we go. And then you would adjust the date with the crown. And yeah, if you turn the crown the other way, it doesn't do anything. You can't change the days of the week by turning the crown. You have to push it in and then start to press the crown in. Right, guys, all of these watches, these 7 watches, are available to buy yeah, on either my eBay store or my website. Prices will be reducing every single week. for most of my watches, I believe. So yeah, I need to get these sold so I can buy some more watches. So yeah, I'll keep reducing the prices until someone buys them. Yeah, hopefully I'll get the Grand Quartz up very, very soon. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.